Hello guys, it is Central Florida Notary here and it's time for another video. It's funny because you get on here and you start noticing like all the grades and everything else. But that's not what we're here for. I'm going to go ahead and apologize now because my mic might be super loud. But my other mic, unfortunately, for some reason, it's not loud enough to me. So, but I'm here. Time for another episode. Or weekly video, and today we're going to talk about wedding officiant. The key word last week was pivoting, right? Pivoting to different things that you can do under the notary, monarchy, and still get your coins, because being a loan signing agent, as we know, has kind of slowed down. I've only booked two this month. I mean, it's still early. The month ain't over yet, but we're halfway at the end of the month on Monday. Half of the month is over on Monday. So, the realization of the week or the month, being halfway done is setting in. So maybe it'll start to get a little bit more busy, but it has picked up in other ways. So we'll talk about that also. But most importantly, today we're going to talk about wedding officiant. Now, before we get started, shout out to my nephew. I'm recording this video August 14th, 2022. He just turned 26. And if I know my nephew, he probably is hating this with a freaking passion. Hating it. Because he's not one of those kids that like to be, I wouldn't say embarrassed, but like he's not the kid you would have going out singing happy birthday. Like, that's not his thing. So he is probably not going to be happy. Sorry about that. And now something else I was going to talk about here, but she just paid it. I had a notary thing that I did last night. They didn't send the invoice, didn't pay, and I was upset about that. I was kind of upset. I was going to have a whole little session talking about that. But I'm going to talk about it anyway, because I feel like it's on brand. It's on par. Okay. So, been a notary now for 8 months, and I've gone on, to provide, it's not really a philosophy, but I provide service, you pay for it. Okay. I don't typically, unless it's a wedding, which we're going to get into, I don't typically ask for money up front, because, the exchanging of goods, happen, just like when you go to the store, you look for what you want, you go purchase, you get it, and then you go purchase it, right? I do have certain stipulations, like if I'm going really far, like 40 to 50 minutes out, then I would want a retainer fee. But that rarely happens. I rarely have a situation that will happen in a way where I need to have that outline. Some people do, some people don't. If it's clearly here in Orlando, I typically use that as like, I'm to the service of people, and my intention is not to get rich off of one transaction. It's really to build relationships. The homie Jay Khan, who is in the Central Florida Notary, he is big on that philosophy. Sometimes, he doesn't turn down anything. And I think a lot of times we all should have that, that mindset, because it's not only about the transactional part of it, it's about building relationships too. So, but so that's the system that I've gone, and it's worked every time. I've never had a situation where someone is not paid immediately. So I get a call. Me, my husband, and my son were eating dinner, eating some chicken from Publix. If you're in Florida, you know how good that chicken from Publix is. And just minding our own business, and then eventually I get a phone call from my work phone that I use, and it was just a random call, so I answered, and it was the young lady that I was conversing with via text there. Not going to go too much into detail, but she needed services. It was about 11 pages. So this is what I do. And now we're going to talk specifics in terms of what works for my business. So the first page is 10, and every additional page is $5. Okay. So 10, so it was 11 pages, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. Okay. Got it? So 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. Okay. So that was what I was going to charge just for the notarization part. Then the travel fee was 15. It's close. It's about 10 miles. I could have said 20. I could have said 30. I could have said it's my after hours fee. That's 35. That's 45. But I did 15. So that puts me at 75. That's good enough, for about maybe 10, 15 minutes of work. That was the intention. So I get there. I told him, I said, well, give me 15 minutes to leave so I can finish eating. And then I'll be there in about 20. So I gave him a roundabout figure of 35 minutes. So I get there. They let me up. It was at a hospital. They get me up, go do the thing. And there was a period in time where we were there. They were getting set up. Fine. Found a place to sit. And, they had to go over the documents to the person. And, they were going over the documents. And while they were in the hospital, they had people coming in. So they had to stop pause it. So at some point in the transaction, she texts me and she says, hey, if there's a wait fee, we'll be more than willing to pay it. So now I'm at 75. I said, all right, just round it out at 100, just 100 for that 1 hour of work, stamping the documents. So that's what it was. They get done doing whatever they needed to get done. I get done stamping all the things that I needed to get stamped. And I normally do Cash App or Zelle or whatever the case may be because it's quicker service, and a lot of people have that. I don't typically use PayPal because PayPal charges you. I think it's like 4%. So out of that 100, I got $4 taken out of it. So that sucks. But that was my only, because she said credit card. So I'm thinking, okay. So I invoiced her. And me thinking that it was going to be completed right away by the time I get downstairs. And Carlos rolled with me. Nothing. I ain't heard nothing. I ain't seen nothing. I'm like, I said some, final messages. Said, oh, thank you for your business. If you can, please leave a review. Bop, bop, bop. Cool. Nothing. This morning I get up. I would say about 8:30. I was like, hey, I don't know if you got the invoice, but blah, 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 I need you to pay that. No response. She finally got back in touch with me. This month. She was, I'll pay it soon. Last night was late. Was a late night. Thank you for the reminder. And she paid. So me going through what I've gone through this weekend. Now, this wasn't the first situation that kind of got me in that space. There was a customer, a potential customer that I had that called that wanted a wedding on the 17th. I initially reached out to her on Thumbtack. At first they said it was a mistake that they reached out to me, and but they'll keep me in mind. A few weeks went by, nothing, didn't hear anything, and I reached back out to them to ask them where they stood, just because I like to follow up. So I followed up with them, and they were like, "Oh, my granddad is going to do it." So, okay, great. Well, awesome. Congratulations. And, if you need me, let me know. They reached out to me on Friday, and it was like, "Hey, well, my granddad is not going to be able to do it. Do you think you can?" So I reached out to them. I got their message, and they were responding through the message, but I called because I feel like that's more personable. Called immediately. As personable as you're going to get other than face-to-face. Called them immediately, and the name was Gabrielle. I didn't know if it was a male or female, so I was thinking, I was saying Mr. Hill. But long story short, I explained to them the details. All you got to do is pay the $50. That will, save it, and just get kind of the specifics of the situation. Excuse me, where it was going to be. I don't know what happened within that conversation, but I get off the phone and I'm waiting. I send them, the invoice to just hold the date. Nothing. They basically stopped responding. So, I'm on demand, but I do have to take some things in consideration. Like, I can't just completely rearrange my day, to make stuff happen. So I was a little frustrated by that, that they just went ghost. If you don't want to work with me for whatever reason I offended you, please let me know. I'm conscious and wise enough to know when I've made a mistake, or be able to take constructive criticism. Sometimes I might get upset, because that's just what we do as humans. But seriously, you couldn't tell me why. And I'm also in my own head, so I know a lot of it could be the fact that I know nothing, and my brain is creating these scenarios to make me think that the situation is because of me. It could be a series of things. So anyway, I don't know what I could have done differently, other than to just, keep in touch. But you can kind of tell, even though it's via text, you can kind of tell when somebody else is not interested. So I take that as an L. But that situation happened on Friday, and I kind of was like complaining to Carlos, you think they're going to book, and they ended up not booking, and that kind of put me in this weird mood of like, and that didn't help last night either, going through that circumstance with that lady, the one that requested the business. For that to have happened, that was like frustrating to me, and I was just like, oh no, here we go again. But we can put that to bed. They paid. But I say all that to say, figure out what works best for you. If it makes sense for you to want to have everything set up and put together, prior to, so there's no misunderstanding or anything, my recommendation is to get all the kinks and stuff worked out. You know what I'm saying? So there's no misunderstanding. So everybody knows what to do. Okay? So that's not going to stop me from calling people. I'm still going to call folks if I get a direct lead. I'm going to call them and just kind of be the first voice that they hear, because I was able to catch another one. And I'm going to do some things for her today to kind of, seal the deal. There's nothing extra that she's doing, but I live here in Orlando, so why not? But anyway, that was a long story, and I want y'all to go on that story with me. Let me know in the comments if you guys think that I was just being horrible, or if I had a legitimate gripe. I think I did, but I would love to hear your perspective. So let's get into the video. You guys have heard the story about Wedding Officiant, how that whole process came up. Last week I went through line by line, like what I was charging each customer and so on and so forth. So a lot of it is going to sound redundant, by the way, and this video isn't going to be super long. So, it's going to sound redundant with a lot of the things that I've covered in previous videos. My hope is to try to see if I can, add some more value to this topic, with just personal experience. So I have been advertising for Officiant work since July. It has been a part of my business since the beginning, because I knew that we could marry people. But I became ordained in December, which is very easy to do. Told you about American marriage ministries, so on and so forth. So all of that. We're going to get into the specifics of the service charges and all those things that come up with being an officiant. Things and duties that you have to complete, or just stuff that you want to take on to, help the couple, right? So, so yeah, I made the decision, became ordained. I knew that it was going to be a part of my business. I just didn't know how to launch it. And what I was going to do is relaunch. So me doing the, doing it in July, advertising, was kind of my relaunching of, Reggie's Mobile Notary / Eternal Unions, weddings. So that was kind of the idea, but I didn't have a big grand opening or anything. I just launched it, went full speed ahead. Thumbtack is where I advertised on. Thumbtack is a pay-per-lead site. Just to let you know, if you do decide to do Thumbtack for any of your businesses, it is a pay-per-lead site, okay? Some of the leads can be bogus. You can dispute the leads. There's an automated system that will tell you either whether the lead is valid or not valid, or whether it will stick or you'll get a refund. And I think you just can't do too many, because if you do too many, two things can happen. They can kick you off the site, or they can just deny it, no matter how valid your reason may be. So keep that in mind. You can actually have your budget be all the way up to unlimited, which means whatever you spend is what you spend. So if you're going to auto pay because of the direct leads that you get. Now, when they say direct leads, that don't mean that they reached out to you specifically. They had an inquiry. They had certain things that they wanted to meet. With that being said, you fit the description. It is not like a person is going like they do on Yelp and search and find your name. No. It's a list of them that they have, and based on how your settings are set up, your algorithm kind of thing is dependent on who's going to get it. So they typically send it to about 3 pros. That's what they call us, professionals, pros, to do it. And then they grade based on who responds first. And that's pretty much it. As soon as I get a direct lead, I go and I respond on the site, and then I call them immediately. Let them know, this is Reggie. Has anybody reached out to you yet? This is what I can offer. I would love to be able to have you, kind of that first touch kind of thing. That's what I do. So in the state of Florida, to be able to marry people, you only need to be a minister, ordained minister, or have your notary license. Now, in the state of Florida, to get married in the courthouse, it costs $100. That's on top of what you paid for your marriage license. It costs $100. So be mindful of that when you're pricing out your packages and stuff like that. You don't want your package to be more than what they're going to charge at the courthouse, because that's going to make it difficult. They'll be like, I just go to the courthouse. Or if they have a friend who happens to be a notary, they can literally just get them to sign. But if you want to have a ceremony, you don't want to go that route. If they're going to have a ceremony, they're going to spend what it takes to make that happen. Okay? So price it accordingly. Whatever you feel is best for your pricing. So my entry level is $100. Now I do charge mileage. This one's been kind of a sticky one for me, because I like to charge round trip to and from, because if I'm not going out there, that mileage wouldn't be taken in consideration anyway. I'm going for the sole purpose of to and from. But I've kind of settled on the idea of charging like a flat rate. So if it's an hour, then it's $50. If it's 2 hours, $75. 3 hours that I'm driving, $100. So on and so forth. So about $25, per 25 miles. Okay. If it's local, depending on how close it is, it might only be 20 or 15 or whatever, for mileage. A lot of people don't like to pay mileage because they obviously they think it adds up. But, at the end of the day, that is a service fee. I would not be going that way otherwise, unless I was going to service you. So, I mean, but you guys in the business get it. So, there's that. When you are an ordained minister, you can, there's a minister fee that they pay. I mean, obviously you don't do it line by line like that, but there's a minister fee that they're paying. You're getting a ceremony as opposed to just a wedding or just a, signing of papers. Simply because, the notary isn't going to know. I mean, they do have a declaration of intent between two people, but for them, they just, what do I need to sign? And that's what makes it a valid license, a valid marriage license. So, but when you're trying to have ceremonies, you want people who are versed and well known into that. And with, my background, I majored in radio. I did. I've done a few radio shows. I have a podcast. I also have a YouTube channel. So this is something I've been working on for a while. So that kind of stuff doesn't make me nervous. What makes me nervous is the prepping of, like getting the scripts together. How are you going to map this out? Rehearsal time, when do I need to be available? Those kind of things. So, those things are definitely important, and you have to know like the small key details in order to be able to function fully. So, but yes, as a notary, you can sign and notarize the wedding marriage certificate, and they can go on their merry way. But if these people if they're looking to create memories, I would recommend you go into ministry and actually learn through American Marriage Ministries or Universal Life Church, and learn some of the things, I was going to say delicacies, but not that, but just kind of like the verbiage, the knowledge, the information that you would need in order to be able to carry on a professional wedding. It's definitely going to set you aside from the rest. You know what I'm saying? To learn some of the things, how to make a wedding script. If you want to learn to use, you can actually do a script generator where they create it based on the information that you put on there. All those things really make a difference in terms of why you. So, other things about being a wedding officiant is you really have to take pride in what you're doing. At the end of the day, you're not just an MC of an event. You're actually the person who sets the tone. So your remarks, your words, your process, how you do it makes a big difference on how the audience receives it. And it also makes a difference on how the couple is perceived. There's a lot of stuff on your shoulder. So don't think of it just being an officiant. You are the pulse of the wedding. I mean, you're not the main focus. The couple is, but you set the tone on how you want that to go. I like to err on the side of laughter. I like to, engage the audience and talk to them. Part of my thing is I personally, my charge is, marriage takes a village, like raising kids do. And a lot of times when friends of ours get married, we think of that as being a singular event, and it only affects them. But it affects other people too. It affects the family members and how that dynamic is going to change. It's also going to affect friends. So you have to really have a buy-in among everybody involved with this marriage and supporting it if it's going to work. Because if you got friends who may be resentful to the fact that you got married to begin with anyway, every time you come with a problem, they going to always talk about, girl, boy, get out. And it's not that easy, So you really have to have a village that's invested in you two as a relationship, partnership, marriage, commitment to really kind of solidify the foundation of a marriage. So, that's kind of my thought process with it. And that's my philosophy on how I engage the audience. Like, hey, Tiffany, Deshawn is going to call you and she's really tough. Or Deshawn is going to call her and say, hey, girl, I need to talk. And you need to make sure that, you listen and you be there for her and you're nurturing her towards keeping this commitment going. Because there are going to be so many outside forces that are going to say this isn't going to work, that are already going to be against them, that you really have to have people that are on your side. My person is Phi Yoba. This man is amazing. He is one of the coolest guys that I've met. Had dinner with him on Saturday. Good to have him in communion. But he believes in me more than me and Carlos believe in each other sometimes. And that's great. He tells us about ourselves. He lets us know. And he's not our marriage counselor per se, but he is somebody who is invested in our happiness. And he wants to make sure that we shine and we're the best for each other, And we have a lot of friends who are invested in our marriage in that way too. So that's kind of my philosophy. Being a wedding officiant, do not bring any personal aspect. Like, it's you pull from your own experience, but at the same time too, you have to kind of distance it a little bit and say, hey, wait, this isn't about me. So you don't want to, have anything that's perceived as personal experience into what is specifically the couples. You know what I'm saying? So you really have to learn their love story. How did they meet? How did they get together? What did they do? What was the story? What's the funniest thing that has happened? You really have to get to know that. And you answer. I have a questionnaire that I got from Courtney Baldwin. Very good questionnaire to kind of get to know the couple. A couple of the couples that I had, they were just very like, oh, we met. And it was very like blasé, but at the same time too, I understand, it could be shyness. I would love to be able to meet these people individually, but a lot of them, quite a few of the people that I'm working with are not in the local Orlando area. So that makes it difficult. But yeah, also being a part of the LGBTQIA+, sometimes I do find myself having some anxiety behind that, because right now, most of the customers that I've booked are all been straight. I had one client, potentially, because she hadn't booked yet, and her wedding isn't until next year, so she got time. That is LGBT. Only one. And sometimes when I'm having these conversations, I'll say my partner, which is Carlos, and I'll have that fear behind telling them that, yeah, he's my husband, because you don't know where a lot of these people you don't know in Florida, even though Florida, a lot of folks try to say Florida ain't the South. It really is. It still has a lot of those values and things up in here, and people are judgmental when it comes to that kind of stuff. So it's really difficult sometimes to feel comfortable with people who are okay with that, So one of my clients that I had, I wouldn't say let the cat out of the bag, but it was, because of how comfortable they made me feel, I introduced him to my husband. But then I kind of felt this, and maybe it was just me being, overly sensitive, but I felt the shift a little bit, and I was like, it was in my head for the rest of the night, and I'm just like, they probably thought. So, but I mean, I think the easiest thing is just to be open and honest. I mean, my website says it, all over the place, so it's not like we're hiding it, but sometimes it probably needs to be said again in order for me to, really put emphasis on it, because sometimes I do feel embarrassed and I get scared and I'm afraid to say something. Now, when you're also an officiant, you do have to pick a team. A lot of the people that marry you are going to ask you for referrals of photographers, videographers, so on and so forth. Why they do that is because they trust you with the most important piece of their marriage. I have a very short vendor list. I have the young lady that took the pictures that you guys have probably have seen, around here somewhere. And that's it. I don't have a DJ. I don't have a videographer. I had to put an ad out on not Craigslist, sorry, on Facebook talking about, and I end up getting this guy, Christopher. He's really cool. And I like his prices. I like his setup, and I do plan on using him in the future. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? And he got back to me, and there was another gentleman that I Instagrammed, and at some point, hopefully we'll get to communicate, but I would like to add him on my vendor list too. It's important to have one. It's important to get one. You don't really know you need it until you need it. You're talking with, do you have a person that's going to be like, yeah, let me, Anna. So my Anna who did our pictures, she has two of the weddings. 13. And she's still trying to lock it down, the other one. I don't know if I don't know what's going on with that one. But yeah. Still trying to lock that down. And with the vendors that I work with, I haven't worked with enough to kind of, get some kickback or whatever. But I do kind of want to be able to create a pipeline, where there's, for referring them, I get $50 or whatever, or, a part of whatever they offer, you know what I'm saying? If they agree to go with mine. So, that's the plan. That's how that works. And there's different ways to be lucrative when it comes to figuring out what works. I know it seems like I'm all over the place, but I promise you, it really, really does work out in the end. I'm trying to think of something else. I recommend, if you're going to become an officiant, to create a website. Have all that added on your Yelp if you have one already. If it's something that you want to get into, and it's relatively easy. You already have it under your portfolio when you have your notary license, and to become a minister, it's free to do. The only thing you have to do is just go on those websites that I mentioned, which I think I put on last week's too, so I might not put them on there. But it's definitely something that's worked out, because at this point I have 7 booked, 1 pending. So I have to get back with the client today. I'm going to go to a couple places here in Orlando to check out and see how it would work with them. I just want to check the area out and kind of get an idea. But I'm going to look at some stuff, let her know. And she's going to also let me know on what day she decides that she wants to get married. Because on the 3rd, I'm not free. I actually have another wedding. So that'll be a cool little thing. You can add extra services. You can actually add in event planning if that's something that you like to do as well. Day of coordination kind of things. My recommendation, if you are interested in getting started, is to search your particular area, see what the average rate is, and kind of come up with the rate in between that. And then as you get more experience, obviously the more you're gonna, want to increase the pricing. And try to make it consistent. People love packages that they can choose from. So, come up with the package size. Like I did mine, based on, the wedding size that they're accommodating. $100, show up and sign, little ceremony, less than 20 people. The Boda Sencilla package, that is based on up to 50. The next one is 100. The largest is over 150 people. Because, the size matter. You know what I'm saying? The size of the wedding matters. The size of the wedding audience matter. Let me For those of you guys out there that are nasty behinds. No, I'm just playing. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it so far. But it is a passion of mine. I know I've hit this thing a million times, and if you hear it, yep. It's become a passion. Short story short, I've always been a little bit of a performer, a personality out there. I'm an extrovert to its truest form. I like talking to people, like meeting people. So this has been something that I've always had in me. What brought it out was when I got married years ago, and then fast forward to a few years later, I had the opportunity to create this business. Found out that it was, or refound out, because I think I knew that it was something that I can do, and it reinvigorated that idea coming back. So now we're here, and I do hit it hard. I do hit it as hard as I possibly can. I really do. It's tough sometimes to put it all together, but at the end of the day, it's what I want. It's what I want, what I need, and I definitely want to do the best that I can. So I learn as much as I possibly can. Always going and researching, looking up online. I'm thinking about there's this girl named Raquel. She has this Ceremonies by Raquel. She teaches a class, and I was thinking about doing that. Although I've gotten comfortable with doing them myself, but I kind of would love to kind of get more hands-on, with learning different styles and different ways. I want to show you guys something. Like I do things to commemorate their relationship as well. Sometimes I actually, if they give me their vows, I get them made in like a scribe type thing, and then present it to them on their wedding day. Even though ain't nobody sent me. So I don't really know how that's gonna work. So maybe it'll be something that's done after. But no one sent me anything yet, so I don't know what's gonna happen. But this is a certificate of marriage commemorative marriage thing where we fill in their names, get the witnesses that signed. I sign here as their officiant, and then the date that they got married. So this kind of serves as the actual marriage license, not actual, but the tangible marriage license that they get, because they have to turn the documents in. You have to do, you're supposed to do that. If the couple says, no, I want to do it, then let them do it. If they say, no, I want you to do it, then you do it. Okay? You'd be like, okay, I got it. Right there. Okay? So I hope it's not noisy. I swear to goodness, I hope that it's not noisy. But that's all I got. That is all I have. You're going to need to, make sure that you advertise. Thumbtack, I spoke about them a lot. I also am a part of the Knot and the Wire. And they have different packages that you can choose from. But you do have to do a 12-month contract with them. So if that's not something that you want to do, I would hold off on doing that. And there's many different ways that you can get into this space. The idea that I wanted to do is to get a mentor, but sometimes that doesn't always work out. The best thing you can do is just get on out there on your own and do it. Go head first. I'm not saying to just, go out there and just, you do need to practice, but after you practice and you feel comfortable enough with doing it, my recommendation is to make sure that you do it justice, because you can really mess up someone's day, or you can brighten up someone's day. Let's work on the brightening up on someone's day. All right. So that's all I got. You guys enjoy the rest of your day. There's been another Central Florida Notary guy here, and I will see you guys next week. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Last week, unfortunately, we lost a person, so maybe this video can bring them back. Maybe you can come back. I'm sorry. I don't know what I did. Tell me. Put it in the comments. Let me know. Share it among everybody. Okay? Okay? Okay. All right, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you. See you next week.